Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And this is my first actual build that I made right after my break due to my bum arm. If you guys have not been following along with like my community posts or anything like that, I have been leaning on my elbow for literally like a year and a half, and it finally irritated my ulnar nerve enough that I literally could not use my right hand or arm. So I was finally starting to feel better after like almost a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, and over the course of maybe 4 or 5 days, I made this house. And let me just tell you, I did not expect that close to a week off was going to impact me so much, in the sense of I built this house, the exterior came together pretty quickly, but the interior, you guys, I struggled so much to come up with like a floor plan and color schemes or what objects to choose. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced ever. But we are working on the exterior here, and I really like this house. It is a shape that I have done multiple times. It's nothing new, but I do just really like the brick and siding that I ended up choosing here. I really liked the combination, and I always love coupling like a brown siding with a really dark black roof. I don't know why, I just feel like it goes together really, really nicely. And I love that spindle from the, I think it's the Vampire game pack. It is probably my favorite one in game, aside from the one that we got with Seasons, but I just think it is so cute. It adds so much charm to almost any house. And I also paired it with these base game flower boxes, as well as these little overhangs from cats and dogs. So it kind of makes this house look different from other houses that I've made that are the same shape, but it at least is its own structure. Like, it's unique in and of itself. And then I also ended up flipping some of those wood tiles there just to kind of make the wood look like it was laid out appropriately. It's a small detail and I don't always do it, but I was feeling a little spicy after not being able to build for almost a week and a half. And then I started working on the landscaping, which I think is pretty simple. It's pretty standard, nothing really fancy, but I mainly used the debug menu to grab these landscaping items, and I only used like 3 or 4 different plants. I didn't go overboard. I also ended up using this tile, I think it's from Get Together, for the front walkway, and it also is used in the backyard as well as the back walkway when we get to that point. But I thought it was nice because it matched how dark the roof was, and that's not usually the route that I would take. I would usually make it a little bit lighter and maybe a little bit more bright for the exterior, but I kind of liked how dark it was, and I genuinely feel as though that is because of my break. Like, I wouldn't have thought that before my break, but then coming back to build and almost having it feel like a fresh menu in a weird way, I ended up making that decision. So I'm actually gonna say, even though I didn't want this break and it was not fun and I was in pain and I hated every second of it, I also am kind of grateful for it because, one, I got to chill back, not put so much pressure on myself to like pre-record and just crank things out, because I do that a lot to myself. I'm my own worst enemy. But it also allowed me to approach the build and buy menu with kind of fresh eyes, and I was starting to make decisions that I wouldn't normally make. Like, what I was trying to do here, now that we are onto the interior, is I was trying to add what I would consider like a wood-burning stove. That was my thought. I know it's an actual fireplace in game, but in New England, where I am from, you will see a ton of houses that either had or currently have wood-burning stoves, and sometimes they're in like the corner of rooms. They're not the centerpiece of the room where a fireplace might be or something, but they're just like off in the corner of the room, literally just to provide heat. Like, that is their main function. That's the word I was trying to look for, function. And I was going to try to put one here in the corner of the room, but I ended up really not liking the layout of the living room after that, because I had concerns that your Sims wouldn't be able to actually get over to that fireplace because it was crammed in the corner, and then it just made the rest of the actual sitting area seem really cramped, and I just didn't like the curtain choices I was trying to pull out. I was really, really struggling. It was honestly really hard, and what you guys are going to see probably very soon is, as I lay out these curtains and whatnot, and as I try to shuffle things around on the interior with like artwork and everything over the TV. I think I tried a shelf at one point. I was just trying to do different things because I just felt more rejuvenated to do it, but I was also feeling odd pressure because I knew I couldn't be sitting at the computer for probably longer than like 15 minutes to 30 minutes at a time without my elbow or my arm or my hand, the whole thing, the whole limb, without it kind of going either a little numb or starting to hurt or whatever the case was. So I was like, oh my gosh, just get through this. You have to find something that works. Like, please just make it work. You can do this. And I really struggled. So this is what I came up with initially, and I did not like it at all. I was like, this is not good. This is not what I usually do. I was so disappointed. So then I ended up cutting out here, as you guys just saw, and I ended up placing a fireplace from Cats and Dogs and getting rid of that faux wood burning stove, i.e. the fireplace from Eco Lifestyle, because I just didn't like how it looked at all. And I ended up just using that fireplace and then kind of making the living space what seemed like a little bit bigger, a little bit more spacious. And I think that was necessary just because this living room is a little long. I don't know if it's not the longest living room I've ever made, but it's a little bit more long. It's not as wide as I was anticipating it to be when I was kind of building the house and actually laying out the floor plan. But I do really like how it came out. I'm glad that I ended up kind of taking that break. So between my first go of the living room and the next go, it was like a day or two, which I think was really necessary because I needed to kind of step back and think about my approach again, which was so weird because I usually just build, and I don't have to think about a thing. It just kind of comes and it works more often than not. Not always, but it usually works. And then I also struggled with the kitchen and the dining space. I knew I wanted to separate the living space from the rest of the house, but I thought that the kitchen and dining kind of being combined in this oddly shaped open room would be kind of neat. So I was starting to go with a really light color scheme, which I do kind of keep, I think, in this space as well. But I was really struggling on what cabinets and countertops I wanted to use, which is not a struggle that I usually face. I kind of go to my tried and true, which is the Parenthood countertops, but I just didn't think that the color combination was coming together. And as I'm watching this footage back, I'm like, what was my problem? Like, it wasn't that bad. I just don't know what happened to my perception in the 5 days. I think it was only 5 days that I completely took off before I was trying to build again. I don't really remember, but I love the way that the dining space came out. I thought it was really cute. And I also put these little china cabinets in the corners to make them kind of look like built-in units. You see a lot of that in New England homes that were built in the 50s or 60s. There's these built-in little corner units, which I think are so unique and so cute and pretty. So I wanted to kind of do that in this dining room, though the curtains came to play and it kind of bugged the heck out of me because they are sticking into the china cabinet, which kind of drives me nuts, but I basically just ignored it because I just really liked how it looked and there was no other way for me to do it. But now I'm cluttering up the kitchen, which is really nothing special, nothing crazy, and I didn't over clutter it. I feel more often than not I do, but this time I kind of stepped back and I was like, you know what, it's a pretty open space. I don't want to clutter up every single countertop with 5 million objects. So I kind of just pushed things against the wall more than anything and just kind of made it look lived in, and that's pretty much it. And they also have a dishwasher, which I usually forget, so I guess my break actually, I don't know, ended up with me remembering to add a dishwasher, which was kind of exciting. And then over here by the stairs, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to put here. I was going to put a bookshelf, I was going to put another just random dining chair, and then I ended up putting a closet back here. So this is basically how you'd get out to the porch and the backyard, but I was kind of treating it as almost like a little bit of a mudroom, but there ends up being a bench underneath the window that I think I add off camera, and then I add a bookshelf over here in the hallway, as well as another dining chair, because you guys know me, if it's not a plant, it's an extra dining chair just going in a corner. And I ended up placing a desk actually right near the stairs, which I think kind of worked because there isn't a designated office space or anything like that in this home. So the parents don't have their own private office. The kids don't have a desk to do their homework at or anything. So I thought it was nice to kind of add a family computer at the bottom of the stairs, and it filled that space really nicely. And I love this desk from Seasons so very much. I was really excited to kind of use the desk and the dining chairs from Seasons that matched really nicely because, I don't know, it just looked so cohesive. And I think what ended up happening is the kitchen and dining room were a lighter color scheme, whereas the living room was kind of a darker color scheme. And then the rest of the house is kind of a hodgepodge, which I'm totally okay with. I'm getting so much more comfortable with doing that. And again, I think my time off really, really helped that. I guess I can't emphasize it enough that if you are feeling burnt out or that you're doing the same thing over and over again, whether it's building or just any kind of creating that you do, take a break and don't feel bad about it, because even though it wasn't a break that I chose, like I said, I thought it was really good for me. And then I also work on this 3/4 bathroom that is right off the dining room. A little bit awkward, but I think it works. So they have a shower and a toilet and then a stacked washer and dryer. And we move on to the second story where we lay out the floor plan, which is a bit awkward only because of the way in which I had to lay things out and because of where I put the staircase, which was kind of different from where I've put staircases before. Usually they're kind of right in the living room, but I kind of put it outside the living room this time. But the first place that we do work on is the landing area, which I add a few more bookcases and a kid's creativity table, as well as just like a kid's armchair and another armchair as well, because maybe this is where the kids can spend a lot of their time. It's kind of like a playroom without it being sectioned off from the rest of the home. And I was thinking that this family had 2 kids. I'm not sure if one of them is like exceptionally creative or if it's really just a fun activity that they both kind of partake in. But then we end up working on the parents' bedroom, where I was going to use this swatch of the cats and dogs bed, but I was thinking that I kind of used more earthy tones in the living room. I say earthy tones and then I think about the bright yellow of the pillows, but like the darker tones, and I kind of wanted to carry that into the bedroom because I thought it would be a little bit more calm. So I chose this other swatch that I have used multiple times that I absolutely love, and then just laid out the essentials that I typically put in a bedroom. But I also placed the stool from Cats and Dogs and put a plant on it just because I thought it was kind of a nice, small, cute, calming detail. And I also put the little laundry basket of clothes on top of the dresser, and there's a paint easel in here too, so maybe one or both, who knows, maybe one or both of the parents really enjoys painting. Maybe it is their profession, or maybe it's just a hobby. I didn't really give a lot of thought into this family, and actually you could probably tell because I just called this like the simple family home. What also resulted from my break is that I couldn't come up with any good titles of videos. That's something I've been struggling with for a while. And then we move on to the kids' room, which I call this color scheme puke. This is the puke color scheme because this green wallpaper is basically just the color of puke, and I just wanted to kind of use a wallpaper that I wasn't used to using. And I also used the brown swatch of the bunk beds, and I thought it looked really nice together because the kind of like trim on this wallpaper is all the dinosaurs and bunnies and stuff, and it's brown, so I thought that the brown and green went fairly nice together. And then basically everything else in the room really isn't that matchy. I just wanted to make it look like a fun, really cluttered, crazy kids room, which is typically what I do. So they do have this dresser over here from Base Game, and they've got like this little rocket lamp, which I thought was really sweet. And one of the kids actually is really into science, so on second thought, maybe one of them's really creative and the other one is really into science, because I was able to put the chemistry station, like the kids play chemistry station, the one that we actually got with Snowy Escape. I end up placing that one in the bedroom. So they actually have an activity in the bedroom as well as a few different toys. And then they have the creativity table over in the landing space. So there's actually a lot of kid activities in this home. And I add a handful of like adult activities as well, or like teen to elder activities, we'll call them. But I thought the kids' room was really cute and crazy, and it was, I don't know, it was really fun to make. I missed it so much, and I was so excited to make a kids' room. But now we are working on the backyard, and it is fenced in. I didn't extend it to that little bump out piece of the house because I did want a small walkway to the gate as well. It's kind of like an entrance to the back garden, and I've never called it a back garden before, but that is just because I talk to Reese and Rachel a lot, clearly. Called back gardens, but I would just call it like a backyard. That's so funny. I didn't even realize that I did that. But there is basically just a few little areas of landscaping here, similar to what we had out front, and then I end up placing, I think there's an outside dining table, a grill, of course, and then there's a swing set, which I always put in builds now, basically, if there are kids in the home. And I think there's like a sprinkler, and then there's also some activities on the porch too. I want to say that there's a flower arranging station, a chess table, and then I think there's a rocking chair on like the front area of the porch. So one of the Sims can just sit out there, maybe like drink their coffee or drink their tea, or just people watch, because people watching is so much fun. But they could do that on their front porch, maybe at the beginning of the day or as the day kind of winds down. Though I will say the one thing I don't actually like about this backyard is that I use the tile, and I don't like it because it just looks like it cuts off really unnaturally to the grass in the backyard, but I think that's just because the grass in The Sims 4 just looks really flat, so it just looks awkward to me. But I did like having a bit of a, I guess, paved out area of the backyard as well, so it wasn't all grass. But here I am just adding a few activities to the porch like I mentioned, and then that is pretty much it for the build. So I hope you guys did enjoy this one. I can't wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
You keep me wondering, is our love strong? Just like a love song, baby, it's haunting me. Don't know what you're thinking, it's like I'm sinking deep underwater. Maybe it's harder, harder, harder for me. Oh, harder for me. Maybe we're over it, or maybe just lovers, 'cause under the covers, baby, you're showing me how to be fearless, so no one can hear us. You're throwing the pillars to the floor. Now put your loving, loving, loving on me. Eh, loving on me. Maybe you won't see me get emotional, and sometimes I pretend I'm just above it all. But I want you lying next to me. Yeah, I want your body, body, body too. Yeah, body too. And baby, please don't think I run away from you. It's just sometimes I get scared to dive into it. I want you lying next to me. Yeah, I want your body, body, your body too. Yeah, body too. Will you be my ride or die? Around all these people, will try to be someone better than you.